Hi Cancer, welcome to your April bonus reading. My name is Kimberly from the Path Illuminated. If you are returning, thank you for your support. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell if you would like to stay up to date on when I post new content here. Cancer, I hope you're doing well. You may notice you were seeing my face. I'm trying something new. We'll see what the response is like. I just wanted to switch things up, try something a little bit different. So in any event, Cancer, as I'm recording this reading, it is April 14th. We are still in Aries season, but we will be moving into Taurus season on April 19th. I don't know how Mercury retrograde has been treating you. It's been all kinds of crazy for me. And I don't know how eclipse season has been for you. We had the lunar eclipse in Libra back on March 25th, and then the solar eclipse in Aries on April 8th. You know, I'm not an astrologer, but I follow astrology, and a lot of astrologers have been saying that this energy is so potent that it's definitely going to be with us for the next 6 months. So I think there's still a lot that's going to be revealed and exposed and illuminated for all of us on an individual level. We also have the next full moon in Scorpio coming up on April 23rd, and then Mercury goes direct on April 25th. Woohoo! But then we do have 2 weeks of post shadow phase. So definitely hope you are taking care of yourself, Cancer. We're going to get right into it. Thank you, angels, spirits, and guides. What are the most relevant messages for Cancer at this time, Spirit? Please help me in pulling the most beneficial messages for the Cancer collective at this time. Remember, y'all, you know, I do think it's important to let you know when I'm pulling cards, the time frame, some obvious like highlights of the transits, but time and energy are fluid, right? And y'all are all individual. So take the messages as they resonate, understanding that certain things may manifest for you differently on an individual level. Let me get one more card here, Cancer, and then I will start getting into the reading. We'll definitely pull some more cards and go deeper. So, first card out is the High Priestess. So, this is typically a card of Pisces, but it's really speaking to your intuition, your deeper knowing. I feel like likely this eclipse portal has really pushed you into a path of learning how to not just harness your intuitive gifts, Cancer, because obviously you are a water sign. So, you know, you have access to deep emotions. Whether or not you show them is another thing, right? You are the crab. But I feel like you have likely been on this path of really being challenged to walk this path of faith and to really step into this authority of trusting yourself, trusting your intuition, trusting the messages and the downloads that you've been getting, Cancer. You know, I'm not a Cancer. I think maybe one of my nodes is in Cancer. If I'm like, I know my chart fairly well, but I forget all the time. But Cancer is not necessarily a really big placement, prominent in most of my chart. But I know that generally speaking, Cancers, their path tends to be one of, and all of us to a certain extent, but this is about you, Cancer, of really coming to a place of moving from insecurity and self-doubt to inner trust and inner faith. I just think, generally speaking, if you identify as an empath and as a water sign, we're typically, we grow up being dismissed. We grow up being called sensitive. And so there is a tendency, and may have been a tendency, for you to dismiss your own intuitive guidance, your own inner knowing, and to really doubt what you know. And it's not always the easiest, Cancer, to know the difference between magical thinking, delusion, fear, anxiety, and intuition. That takes a lot of sorting out. But I see that this eclipse season and this Mercury retrograde, the things that have been occurring for you during this time have been to bring you into this high priestess energy of you really, really learning to trust yourself, to trust your wisdom, to trust your inner guidance. And I see this 10 of Cups, love to see that. You know, this is all about emotional fulfillment, but I see this as a case of like, as you start to grow in your, you know, self-trust, your trusting of your intuition, your downloads, what your guides are telling you, and you start to really fortify that foundation of trusting your own wisdom versus seeking for validation and confirmation outside of yourself, that is how you are going to get to this 10 of Cups energy. It is not by seeking the approval, validation, and acceptance of other people. It is in accepting yourself and trusting yourself. And I'm pretty sure that the last reading I did for y'all was all about confronting and acknowledging the ways in the past that you had not listened to your own intuitive guidance, where you had allowed people to stay in your life for much longer than they needed to, and leaning on magical thinking, hoping people were going to shift, hoping people were going to change, hoping people were going to start to act right if you just proved to them, right, that you were worthy of their time, attention, acceptance. And if you've been doing the work, then you have been challenged in taking accountability and taking responsibility for the ways in the past where you have abandoned yourself for the approval of others. So I see this as like the next phase. Once you can acknowledge that, you know, and I don't know if I said this in your reading, but I definitely have said it in other readings, Cancer, that oftentimes we have a tendency to look back at the past, whether it's jobs or friendships, family situations, romantic partnerships, and we're like, oh, I was so stupid, and why didn't I listen to myself? And we can reframe that, right? You can start to look back at your past, Cancer, if you haven't already, and identify and notice all the times that your inner guidance, your intuition was telling you the truth, but you dismissed it, either because you didn't trust yourself enough, you didn't trust your own intuition, or because you were hoping that a situation was other than it actually was, and you abandoned your own truth because you were hoping that somebody was going to turn out to be right for you or accept you or change, even though they never showed any evidence that they would, right? If you have done the work of reframing that and looking at those times where you didn't listen to your intuition, when you dismissed your own inner guidance because you were hoping that things would turn out the way you wanted to versus the way that they were going to, you can start to see like, oh, I do know. Oh, I do have intuition that I can trust. Oh, I should start actually listening to myself, even in those moments when I'm hoping a friend or a job or someone I'm dating, right, I'm hoping that they're going to change, but my intuition is telling me that I have to trust what's coming up. And so if you've been doing that work, you have been learning how to trust your high priestess energy, learning how to go deeper within, learning how to rebuild that trust. And ultimately, that's going to give you so much peace, Cancer. That's going to deepen your own trust with yourself and also start to teach you how to validate your own self, validate your own feelings, validate your own experience, where you're not seeking the outside world and people who are not capable of validating you. Like, so often, you know, it can be based on your family of origin or trauma or just society at large, that, you know, we are taught to seek for validation and emotional fulfillment outside of ourselves, but it's all within. Whatever you want is within. And when you start to do the work within, that's when people, places, and situations start to come to confirm all of that inner work that you've done, all of that inner validation, it starts to reflect in the outside world, but it has to be done on the inside. So I really do see you leaning into doing this hard work. This is not easy work. And 9 of Wands, this has been coming up a lot in my readings, which I'm not surprised. Chiron, the wounded healer, has been all up in the transits, has been conjuncting and squaring. So again, like, I'm not an astrologer, but it's been all up in the mix, and it has been coming up. And like I said, we had the eclipse portal and Mercury retrograde, which oftentimes is going to trigger and bring up the past, right? All of the work that you've been doing, all of the lonely nights and the solitude, and, you know, vibrating away from friendships that maybe you thought were always going to be a part of your life. You know, realizing in job situations, career situations, that like you've been required to sacrifice so much of your own personal fulfillment in order to just like get any type of morsel of acknowledgement, right? This is really you realizing that you, again, have to validate your own experience, right? That you have to give yourself the credit for the work that you've been doing, Cancer, until you are actually able to look back at the past and all the work that you've done to get here, right? Until you start validating that, that's where the healing really is. And this is also a card of reminding you to not lose faith, to understand that there is still some more work to be done here. There is still some healing to be done. There is still a last push. We are, you know, you're still in a place of, it's like there's an inner knowing that there is a shift, there is a change, there's a transition coming, that you've been working on validating yourself, right? And again, like I was saying, as you start to validate yourself, that starts to reflect in the world outside of you, but it starts within, right? And the 9 of Wands, after the 9 of Wands is what? The 10 of Wands, which is the end of a very painful cycle. So for me, this is the universe acknowledging that like you've been working really, really hard, and there's still some more work to be done. Now, if you need to rest, but don't quit, and don't lose the faith, not now, because you are so close. And then we have the 6 of Cups, which for me, the 6 of Cups has always been about inner child healing. It is about understanding all of your past experiences and the stories and the narratives and the traumas that have caused you to be insecure, have caused you to question yourself, have caused you to feel like you weren't good enough. And this is a really deep time, an opportunity for you, Cancer, to go within and to heal yourself and to realize that you are your own healer. That whatever happened to you growing up, whatever past betrayals you may have experienced in friendships and family dynamics and romantic partnerships, they are not a reflection of your self-worth, Cancer, right? When somebody betrays you, when they're disrespectful, when they don't value you or honor you, whatever that experience is, that's a reflection of them. And I would say, Cancer, that you probably can understand that. And that is part of the challenge, right? Is that you have a big heart. You're very considerate of other people. You care about how they feel, and you interact with people in a very like golden rule way. The golden rule is to treat others the way you want to be treated, but not everybody has that type of integrity. So thinking about the past, again, Cancer, and all of the hard work, all of the lonely nights, all of the solitude, all of the self-doubt, all of the pains and heartbreaks, like, give yourself credit and acknowledge your inner child and the times when you felt misunderstood, you felt unlovable, you internalized, recognize the moments when you internalized the treatment from other people as a reflection of your value, and understand and fully integrate into your being that, again, the way that other people treat you is not a reflection of who you are or your value or your worth. It is a reflection of them. If they don't have the capacity to be honest, to be respectful, to be considerate, to be consistent. That has to do with them, not you. And I really see you healing really deeply at this time these old wounds, so that, again, right, that's why you have this opportunity of stepping into this high priestess energy. And this is why 10 of Cups is on the way for you, because you have really started to take accountability for who you are and the fact that you are your own healer, right? And the past is past, and, you know, people who weren't capable of loving you, appreciating you, valuing you, it had nothing to do with your value or worth. It had to do with their inability to value you. And oftentimes people know how amazing you are. That's why they show up, right? But they want to make sure that you don't know, because they want to keep taking advantage of it. That has, again, to do with them and not with you, Cancer. So, I mean, if this message is already resonating for you, Cancer, don't forget to like the video. Let me know in the comments that you are the high priestess, that you are coming for everything that you deserve. Let's get one more card here. Okay. The Magician. And actually, the Magician usually is the Hierophant, or the Magician that is a counterpart to the High Priestess. So I see this, Cancer, as you fully healing all aspects of yourself and finding the balance between the knowing and the doing, because the Magician is very much a doer in the major arcana, right? The Magician has all of the tools that he needs in order to manifest his reality, his desires, his wishes. And so this is, again, for me, an indication and a confirmation to you that maybe you've been looking for, Cancer, that you have everything that you need right now to get exactly where you want to go. Whether this is manifesting a new job, whether this is manifesting a promotion or a raise, whether this is manifesting a new business or a creative project or even a relationship, right? Like, all of you are going to be different, because this is a general energy reading for Cancer. If you're interested in a personal reading, Cancer, click the link for my website. The only way to book a one-on-one with me is via my website. Just please be aware of that. But like, you have the intuitive wisdom. You're growing in your own faith with regard to trusting where you're being guided and the downloads that you're getting. And now it's going to be time for you to really understand that you actually have everything that you need in order to make this next phase of your life happen. Now, it's interesting because we have the Knight of Coins, and all of the Knights in the Tarot are cards of action. But the Knight of Coins, it is Earth energy, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. This is typically the slowest Knight in the deck. Now, I would say that I have to acknowledge in this deck that this Knight has a little bit more movement than maybe the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. But I think that this is very indicative of this time frame that we're in, and the fact that it is a Mercury retrograde. So I think right now you're really starting to build the faith in yourself, faith in your intuition, faith in your inner knowing, faith in where you're going, acknowledging how far you've come, acknowledging how much work you've done, healing those inner child wounds, healing any insecurity that's left over from the past, and really starting to step into your confidence of like, yeah, I am ready. I do have everything that I need. And now for me, with seeing this Knight of Coins, this is for me starting to make those plans, whatever it is that you're wanting to do. I think this is about you getting clear about the fact that the next, what's the word? It came to me and then it left. Next move is yours, Cancer. This is a active waiting period is what I'm hearing. This is an active waiting period of utilizing the time that you have available right now, harnessing this slowdown of Mercury retrograde where things from the past are coming up again, not to make you feel bad, but to remind you of how much you've overcome, to remind you of all the times that you did know, but maybe you dismissed your own inner knowing because you were caught up in magical thinking and realizing you actually are ready for this next step. But you need to decide, what do you want, Cancer? What do you want? And whatever that is that you want, whether again, it's a new job, applying for a promotion or a raise, starting a new side hustle, business, getting out and dating again, whatever those goals are, what are those next action steps that you're going to take? Maybe not right now, but when you start to feel the momentum to move forward. Because I do think it's really important to not force things, to not rush things, and to allow this time for you to really get confident in yourself so that you don't fall back into those old patterns of self-doubt, of dismissing your intuition and your inner knowing, right? This is like you really having the opportunity to step fully into your high priestess magician energy, where you not only know who you are, but you act accordingly. Know who you are, Cancer, and act accordingly. Ooh, and one more card. Lots of major arcana. We have the moon. Card of Pisces. So I would say probably, again, this eclipse season has been very powerful, very triggering, very transformative. I do think that this full moon in Scorpio is going to be very powerful for you. For me, during full moons, it's a combination. It's a culmination of what's been happening since the last new moon, since the last full moon, depending on the cycles, but it's also a time to release. So what I would say is, if you have fear about stepping into your confidence, I'm assuming that this is a new level for you, Cancer. I've been seeing it coming out in your readings for a while, where the universe has been really, really direct with calling you out on your BS, not in like a judgmental way, but like, come on, Cancer, you know better, so do better, right? Know who you are and act accordingly. But the moon too is also a card for me of understanding, right? Typically in the moon card, this is the full moon. So on a dark night, when there's a bright full moon, the moon provides illumination, but it's not the same as the sun, right, Cancer? So there's got to be an understanding that you cannot wait to know everything, and you can't stay stuck in analysis paralysis. So yes, take your time, right, to consider, what do you want? What's the feeling you're going for? What do you want to manifest? But also trusting that you're divinely guided, that you're divinely protected, and that you're not going to let your fear of the unknown stop you from taking that step or letting go of things, right? It's about and then we have death, which is Scorpio. Full moon in Scorpio, April 23rd, is going to be really huge for you if you're ready to harness this energy. This is about letting go of the old stories. This is about letting go of past traumas. This is about no longer letting the past define you, Cancer. This is about no longer making excuses for people, for friends, for family, for people you've dated who don't know how to act right. This is you no longer allowing those insecurities to control you. This is no longer letting the need for outside validation to control the steps that you take, the actions that you take. This is understanding that in order for life to exist, death also has to exist, and that if you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And it's time to let the past die. It's time to let that past version of yourself go. Now, there's always going to be grief as we transition. And something that's continued to come through for me in my readings is, be careful what you wish for, because you might just get it. And getting what we want, as like when we're thinking about it, it seems so great. But you know what else it requires? Faith and letting go of the past, and letting go of past versions of ourselves, letting go of old friends, letting go of old careers, letting go of our old comfort zone. And that can be very difficult, because it requires trusting that on the other side of this death, that there's going to be something better. And that's not always easy. And it requires a tremendous amount of faith in ourselves and our manifestations and in the universe, right? That what's coming is better than what's gone. And I think that like, that's what you're going to be grappling with. It's like you've definitely have been leaning into the healing. And I would say, you know, like, again, timelines are going to be different for all of you. So wherever you are on this path, continue to do the healing. Don't rush. Don't force. Don't judge yourself. Just be honest with yourself, right? And know who you are and act accordingly. It doesn't matter if people are used to you being, what's the word? Accommodating. People may be used to you being accommodating of them. They may be used to you always being available to them. But this is your time, Cancer. This is a time for you to choose yourself. I'm gonna, let's do one more shuffle. I'm gonna get a little deeper into this message. If the messages are resonating, Cancer, don't forget to like and subscribe. Leave me a comment below. Let me know. Ooh, that's way too many cards. I know who I am and I'm going to act accordingly. All right. All right, Spirit. What additional insights can you give me for Cancer? What else do they need to know about this time? Three of Wands. This is waiting for your ships to come in. This is going to require patience and faith. The healing work that you've been doing, the inner work that you've been doing, you know, the, sorry, I lost my frame of thought. Your investments, your energy, your charity, it's all going to come back to you, Cancer. Maybe not right at the moment that you're hoping, but keep holding on to faith. Keep holding on to that inner knowing that what you have invested is going to give you a return. Now, you are not necessarily going to know right away which manifestations are going to come in. So this again is about trusting, right? And keeping an open mind about what the possibilities are, because sometimes your manifestations are not going to look the way you expect them to, and sometimes they're not going to come when you expect them to. So again, this is a time of leaning into that faith, because we're kind of in a wonky period right now with Mercury retrograde. The Fool in reverse, you may still, again, right, I'm getting this with the Death and the Moon as well. The Fool in reverse, I feel like you may still have some fears about taking this leap of faith. You may still struggle with the judgments of others. Like, are people going to think I'm foolish for moving, or for leaving this job, or for starting my own business, or for leaving this relationship, or starting to date, whatever it is, right? So I would say, like, you don't have to fake it to make it, right? Like, the best thing that you can do at this time, Cancer, is to keep it real with yourself. And if you have those fears, again, full moon in Scorpio on April 23rd, this is going to be a very, very powerful time for you to acknowledge, honestly, your inner struggles, your fears, your self-doubt, your insecurities, and to do your best to release them, and to ask the universe, your guides, God, you know, the universe, to assist you in building the confidence to take this leap of faith towards your manifestation, whatever that is for you, Cancer. Let's get a few more cards here. Let me get one more card. Again, like I said, we're still in Mercury retrograde. So Five of Cups, there's going to be, again, like I was saying, right, that as much as we are wanting to manifest something new, we're wanting to start a new chapter, there's still going to be some grief that comes up with letting go of the past, whether this is a past version of yourself, which is going to be part of that, past friendships, romantic partnerships, jobs, things that just haven't worked out. It's going to be really important for you to fully acknowledge, Cancer, how that's honestly made you feel. Don't act like it doesn't affect you when it does, because that's lying to yourself. The best thing that you can do is be real with you, because if you can be honest about the fact that, like, yeah, leaving this, moving, like, cutting off this friend because they're disrespectful, you know, cutting off this romantic partnership, walking away from this job because they didn't honor me, because they didn't respect my boundaries. This is hard because I invested a lot of time and energy into that. But I'm going to honor myself by acknowledging the fact that this has had an impact on me. And Four of Swords, taking the time to rest, because it is Mercury retrograde. And I don't know about you, but my energy has been so depleted. Every day since April 1st has felt like a month. And in order for us to make it to the other side, we need to make sure that we rest, especially when we're feeling triggered, especially when we're feeling exhausted. Sometimes the most productive thing you can do is rest. Let your body and mind rest, even if it's just taking a nap in the middle of the day, right? I see you having done and continuing to do so much emotional inner work right now that like rest is really going to help you. You don't have to go. And it's a lot of inner emotional work, working through fears, working through insecurities, working through letting go of the past. 10 of Pentacles. Eventually, this is all going to work out in your favor, and it's going to lead to long-term stability. Why? Because you've been choosing yourself. Continue to choose yourself. Continue to honor yourself, despite other people having judgments, things to say, criticisms, questioning you. Keep choosing yourself no matter how hard it is, Cancer. 6 of Wands. We got the 10 of Pentacles and the 6 of Wands. All of the work that you're doing right now is going to lead to long-term stability and success. Know that even in the times where you're working through healing those inner wounds, acknowledging the pain that it caused, acknowledging why you feel insecure, why you doubt yourself, acknowledging how hard it is to let go of the things you've become used to, whether that's family, friends, romantic partnerships, a job, a way of being, a place that you're living. Understand that the work that you're doing now to really lean into the confidence of knowing who you are and acting accordingly. Yes, right? It's like intuition only makes sense after you follow it. And so that's what you're being required to do right now, is to continue to prioritize yourself and trust yourself, right? Acknowledge how much work you've done, know who you are, and act accordingly, Cancer. So I really am loving this energy for you, Cancer. If the messages resonate, don't forget to like. Let me know in the comments. I know who I am and I'm acting accordingly. I'm choosing myself. I am going to close this out with a card from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. If you'd like to book a one-on-one with me, click the link below. The only way to book a one-on-one with me is via my website. Spirit, can I get one final card for Cancer to close this reading out? All right, we have Gazelle. Let me just grab the book here. Thank you again, Cancer, for being here. Hope the messages are supportive for you. Know who you are and act accordingly. All right, this is fire energy. So this is definitely happening. This is definitely like your confidence has been building during Aries season for sure. All right. Heightened awareness and ability, vulnerable. The gazelle represents supreme grace. With every move, this awe-inspiring beauty emits sophistication and elegance. Gazelle personalities are often hyper-aware of their surroundings, bordering on hypervigilant, and this can inhibit them from enjoying the beauty they've spent so much effort cultivating. No more worrying about all those predators out there in the wild. When this card appears, it's time to get back to the present moment. Sit down, find your breath, and acknowledge the bounty that surrounds you. Let it nourish your gentle spirit. When in balance, graceful, perceptive, and artistic. When out of balance, insomnia and racing mind. To bring into balance, yin yoga, a cozy home, and good food. Yin yoga, a cozy home, and good food. That's what's going to help you through the rest of this month and into May. But I'm loving these messages for you, Cancer. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hope the messages resonated for you, and I'll see you next time. Bye.